Breaking: Manhattan terrorist identified along with one damning detail about where he just came from. When will we finally say enough? 8 people were killed and numerous others wounded in New York on Tuesday evening when an Islamic terrorist rammed a Home Depot rented pickup truck into pedestrians in Lower Manhattan. This act is being officially called an act of terror. The terrorist, who has been identified as 29-year-old Sayfullo Saipov of Tampa, Florida, then exited his rental vehicle holding up 2 fake guns, before being shot by police in the rear end and taken into custody. The incident happened around 3:05 p.m. New York time, close to schools as children in America's largest city innocently celebrated Halloween. Sayfullo Saipov came to the U.S. from Uzbekistan, a known hotbed of terrorism where Islam is the dominant religion. Saipov arrived in 2010 when former President Barack Hussein Obama and his administration thought it was a great idea to let everyone and anyone in, especially radical Muslims. The terrorist reportedly shouted Allahu Akbar as he exited the truck he used to kill. Via heavy, witnesses described the suspect shouting Allahu Akbar during the attack, and New York's mayor called it an act of terrorism, in part because of that utterance. Authorities provided a detailed account, accusing Saipov of mowing down people wantonly who were on the bike path. The attack occurred at 3:05 p.m., when the male suspect began driving southbound, striking a number of pedestrians and bicyclists before colliding with a school bus. The 29-year-old suspect exited the vehicle brandishing 2 handguns, the police commissioner said. A heroic uniformed police officer confronted the suspect and shot him in the abdomen. A pellet gun and paintball gun were recovered at the scene, the commissioner said. According to Fox News, 4 of the injured people were on the bus, and 1 of the students was in critical condition. They were riding on a short yellow school bus near Stuyvesant High School, reported Fox, adding that Belgian and Argentine citizens died in the mayhem. A witness described the grisly scene with fatally wounded victims on the ground with tire tracks on their bodies. "I hear a loud commotion coming from behind me," an eyewitness told CNN. "I look and see a truck going down toward Chambers Street. He's in the bike lane. Clearly in the bike lane. I see 2 gentlemen laying in the bike lane with tire trucks across their body. You can tell they're not here anymore. I hear the lady screaming. I hear 9 or 10 gunshots. And all the police came running. They're just as much confused as I was. They clear the area. I see a yellow school bus that this truck clearly crashed into. Somebody had more than road rage to do something like that." Earlier reports had indicated there was gunfire. A witness told ABC's New York station WABC that a truck hit multiple people on the bike path on the West Side Highway. The witness added that the truck crashed into a school bus and the driver got out and opened fire. ABC News reported of the fast unfolding incident on October 31. However, the gunfire came from the heroic police officer stopping the attack. One photo did show a body covered with a white covering. Saipov has a record of multiple traffic offenses in Pennsylvania. In August 2012 he was stopped by state police in Palmyra Township, in Lebanon County, and cited for out-of-service criteria, an unlawful activity with a commercial vehicle. State law says no person shall operate a motor carrier vehicle or cause, permit, require or otherwise allow any other person to operate a motor carrier vehicle in violation of driver out-of-service criteria or standards periodically adopted by the United States Department of Transportation. He pleaded guilty in November 2012 and was fined more than $500. He was also charged with failure to comply with license restrictions, but that charge was withdrawn. According to Missouri court records, Sayfullo was stopped by the Missouri Highway Patrol in St. Charles County in 2016 and charged with failure to equip a motor carrier with the required brake system, maintain capable brakes. In April 2016, a warrant was issued for failure to appear. The warrant was served in October 2016 and in November 2016 he pleaded guilty and paid a $129.50 fine and $70.50 in court costs. He has also been cited in Maryland. On April 21, 2011, he was stopped in Harford County and charged with failure to maintain a driver's log, a charge that applies to commercial truck drivers. In March 2015, Saipov was stopped by the Mount Holly Springs Police Department in Cumberland County and charged with operating with unsafe equipment and having a trailer in violation of the maximum allowed length. He pleaded guilty in April 2015 and also paid a fine in that case. According to Pennsylvania court records, Saipov was living in Paterson, New Jersey, at the time of both of those traffic stops in 2012 and 2015. On Uzbekistan and Islamic terror, Global Security reports, Uzbekistan has shown a particular vulnerability to terrorism since the collapse of the Soviet Union. In the late 1990s, Uzbekistan began battling a low-intensity insurgency. In February 1999, a series of explosions in Tashkent left a reported 1628 killed and hundreds more wounded. The Karimov government responded with wide-scale arrests of political dissidents in a telling display of lingering Soviet-style tactics. In April 1999, Karimov accused Mohammad Saleh, a former presidential candidate and head of the Band Urk Party, of masterminding the plot along with Tohir Yaldashev, former leader of the Adalat social movement, and the Taliban. The first trial of 22 suspects resulted in 6 death sentences. In 2000, Yaldashev and Jamin Imangani, leader of the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, received death sentences in absentia, and Saleh received a 15-year prison sentence. Early in the following decade, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, IMU, launched a number of small, cross-border raids. The IMU in summer 2001 allied itself with the Taliban government in Afghanistan, where most IMU fighters were then based, and subsequently engaged U.S. forces in Afghanistan. Since the fall of the Taliban government in 2001, the IMU appears to have become less active in Uzbekistan. However, terrorist bombings blamed on the IMU and splinter groups have occurred sporadically, including multiple, simultaneous 1999 attacks in Tashkent that destroyed a portion of the Ministry of Interior headquarters and narrowly missed President Karimov, and 2004 suicide bombings of the U.S. and Israeli embassies in Tashkent. In late March 2004, a series of bombings and armed attacks left a reported 47 dead. President Islam Karimov asserted that the attacks were concerted attempts to overthrow the government. The Uzbek government has considerably alienated its Muslim population since the end of Soviet control. As a result, many analysts have partly attributed the rise of the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, IMU- renamed the Islamic Movement of Turkestan, IMT- in the mid to late 1990s, to government actions. The government's response to the terrorist attacks in March 2004 generated a wide negative reaction from the West. Nevertheless, Russia was more understanding, and in a move that suggested a burgeoning Uzbek role within the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, SCO, facilitated the opening of the Regional Anti-Terrorist Center, RATC, in Tashkent. In May 2009, militants attacked a police checkpost near Khanabad in the Namangan region, injuring one police officer. In May 2009, a suicide operative detonated explosives in central Andij near a police station, killing at least one police officer and injuring several bystanders. In September 2009, there was a shootout in Tashkent between government authorities and suspected extremists that resulted in several deaths. In November 2011, an explosion damaged a railway bridge in the south of Uzbekistan on the line connecting Termiz and the town of Kurgantub in Tajikistan. Uzbek law enforcement authorities declared the explosion a terrorist act, but no one has claimed responsibility and the has never brought anyone to justice. No casualties were recorded as a result of the explosion. In mid-June 2010, up to 100,000 ethnic Uzbek refugees fled from Kyrgyzstan to Uzbekistan following ethnic clashes in southern Kyrgyzstan. The government of Uzbekistan worked closely with international organizations to provide food and shelter to the refugees until they returned to Kyrgyzstan in late June. In light of domestic and international threats, the government has implemented heightened security measures, such as establishing security checkpoints, restricting access to certain streets and buildings, and deporting nationals of suspect countries. Continued instability in southern Kyrgyzstan following the 2010 political and ethnic violence have raised tensions and led to substantially increased controls at the Uzbek-Kyrgyz border. In addition, border crossing points with both Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan, both borders of security concern for the G, are often closed for periods of time. Although the border between Uzbekistan and Afghanistan is officially open to traffic, travel restrictions for the region remain in place. Uzbeks need permission from the National Security Service, NSS, to cross the border, and only select Afghans are allowed into Uzbekistan. Once again, loved ones mourn the dead from a terror-linked attack in New York, the first since September 11, 2001. Former President Barack Hussein Obama again has blood on his hands. His appeasement of terrorism and bowing down to known terrorist regimes killed these innocent people in New York tonight. This scumbag murderer came to this country under his watch in 2010. And now, to make things even worse, he fights President Trump from the darkness of his popularity on the left in order to undermine our new president. As efforts to make us safe again. We need to know who is coming to our nation. This religion of peace follower had no reason to be here. Let him, and others like him, stay in the cesspool they came from. We have to respect these people for their so-called festivities where they pray to their satanic god, but it's okay to attack us during ours? Enough is enough. Share if you agree we need to stop the political correctness and ban people from certain areas of the world.
Let it go, make my body go, make our bodies high.